Hi friends, welcome. If you're new to our channel, we are a worldwide group of ballroom dancers who share in a love of dance sport and ballroom, Latin, and we'd love to have you join us. So anyway, today's hot topic. This is in response to a question I received in my personal Facebook page. And guys, if you ever have a question that you are hoping I can answer for you on my channel, but you're, for any reason, afraid to post it publicly in the comments here, you know what? That is okay. I'm happy and totally understand that you would ask me to retain your confidentiality. Very happy to do that. Just shoot me a message on Facebook Messenger on my personal page. It's just Sunny Page. Anyway, here's our question. Hi, Sunny. I found your YouTube channel when you were commenting on Dancing Queens and have become a regular viewer and continue to enjoy your insights. Thank you. That makes me feel so good. I started ballroom dancing about 1.5 years ago and have done about 5 Pro-Am competitions. My studio is not a franchise studio, but does have multiple locations. They run their own competitions that are sometimes open to other studios. The costs to compete are quite high, $1,500 to $3,700 per registration, plus $70 to $80 per dance. I'm interested to compete in competitions outside my studio in a wider pool, understandable, of competitors and experience. My studio is, I mentioned that. The per day cost is not shared with the other students, even if my instructor is dancing with more than one student that day. I'm very devoted to my instructor, but I'm curious what the average cost to compete in Pro-Am would be with an independent instructor. I assume the costs of private lessons in my studio, which are $130 to $150 for 45 minutes, are comparable with an independent instructor once you add the floor fees and practice time. But would be interested to know what the average costs are. I live in a major metro area, so have access to a lot of talented professionals. My studio does have a fun culture, and I enjoy being part of that community. But competing is becoming increasingly important to me, and I'm not sure if it's financially sustainable for me at my studio, especially as I compete in 2 styles. Thanks, and I'll leave their name off. Now, she has a part 2 to that question. I'll probably address that in another video. It's a lot to bite off here. But number 1, yes, I highly suggest you get the heck out of that little microcosm of that single studio competition and see what else your community has to offer. Now, I don't know what major metro area you're in. However, absolutely, that is going to affect the costs of dancing quite a bit. Because if you are paying floor fees, you know, on 5th Avenue in Manhattan, where I was taking coaching, you know, or London, that's quite a bit more than if you're in Podunk, Middle America, you know, where the cost of living is substantially less, where the cost of running that dance studio is less. Because I got to tell you guys, I had a mortgage of over $2 million with my studio. So I couldn't run it with, you know, you can't run a steakhouse on McDonald's pricing and you'll go bankrupt. Also, guys, I do not know the skill level, or even what studio this is. So it is very difficult for me to assess, if you're getting a value for your money. But there are a lot of things associated with this cost. Okay. So number 1, in a nutshell, knowing nothing about your studio or your pro or even exactly where you are, the prices do sound within the range of normal to me. Number 2, this is a hypersensitive topic, okay? I've asked many of my friends over the years what they charge Well, they're always happy to tell me they're privates, but what they charge for Pro-Am, and almost no one is willing to tell me. And they know, even though I have a YouTube channel, I would never spread dirt on them here or share their name. Now, I actually have a theory on this. And none of them have verified it with me, but I've heard this from their students talking separately to their students. So, okay, dirty secret from inside the ballroom world. Not all, but many pros charge different rates per different students. And honestly, there might be an assumption that's based on skill, like, oh, well, the gold students, they're more proud of them. They get to charge less or whatever. No, I've never seen that. If any net gold students, paying a lot because they are paying that pro to get to that level. But I have often seen the very wealthy students get taken for a financial dumpster fire, really taking advantage of them. So again, although I have not heard this from the pros, I have just observed this over the years in the big picture, talking to the different students and saying, there's definitely a bio of that student who is going to pay $40,000 for a comp and a bio of a student who's going to pay $5,000 for a comp. So just to warn you, these things do happen. It is what it is. I'm not here to paint a rosy picture for you. I just want to tell you this can happen, okay? Do I know if your pro is charging other people other things? No, I don't. But even if they're charging everyone the same, that doesn't seem out of line to me, again, knowing nothing about them. I assume since you are in a major metropolitan area, it's not some sort of Joe Schmo, and I'm assuming they're a trained dancer. I actually don't know. So anyway, because everyone is so secretive, I cannot give you an industry average. No one can. And honestly, guys, a lot of these people are pocketing money under the table anyway. So even if this were reported to the federal government, like supposedly what they're charging, a lot of them aren't even doing that. So there's just no way to evaluate that empirically, unfortunately. Okay, next, the very cheapest rate I have ever heard of, and I'm happy to share this, is, again, this was not a trained pro, though. This is someone that never competed professionally. They never competed at the championship level. But, hey, they did Pro-Am. They were a proper trained teacher. They had their ICD certification. He told me he charged equal to what the comp entry was, okay? So if the comp would charge the person, say, like you're saying, $100 a dance, for a scholarship event or something, then that student would also pay him $100 a dance. And so this amount varied based on how much they were dancing with the pro. Some pros charge per dance. Some pros have kind of a one-off fee, and then they just have the student pay the comp directly for the cost of their entries. And those pros are going on a little different approach where they want to get that top pro teacher award. They might get a $10,000 check in their back pocket when they leave just for bringing in a lot of entries. So, a lot of different ways that pros approach this. Although in their defense, it is a job. And if they're highly trained, you get paid for what you're giving the student. And hopefully this pro's making you look the best on the floor and training you super fast and not holding you back in your dancing and making you dance, at a crummy pretty bronze level for 5 years, taking 4 privates a week. Now, it is a little odd to me that you have a quote-unquote registration fee and then a per dance fee on top of that. Usually at these big, I'll say non-chain studio sanctioned comps, you're not going to pay, $3,700 to register and then $70, $90 per dance. It would just be per entry. So that's a little sus, but you know what? At least they publish the rates. So I'm going to guess it's pretty safe to say that all those students are paying those same rates, okay? Another thing I've seen where pros will charge significantly more than others, you know, even if they're not highly trained, if they're just popular, they're going to charge, you know, based on what the market demand is. And if they have as many students as they want, and they don't want a ton more entries in the comp, you know what? They're going to charge more for their time. And then to go back to specific examples, you know, I have talked to students who all take from the same pro, one of which is paying 20 grand a day for a comp. And then they've got another student who's basically paying pennies on that dollar. So dislike, but it is what it is. Also, I had a friend who actually took in another state. So I didn't personally know her pro. As a matter of fact, he was kind of a nobody. I mean, I've seen him dance. He's okay. Never heard of him. I don't think he's ever competed professionally. But she was paying $20,000 a day plus thousands more to his studio where he was employed to compensate the studio for the lack of income that they were experiencing when he was out of town competing. Now, absolutely, that does seem fair to me, but $2,000 a day, like, I doubt the studio is losing that much income with him out of town. I mean, they're just losing, you know, his sensible floor fees, you know, his health insurance. I mean, there's some things they're losing, but I think that was price gouging in my opinion. But that's my 2 cents. I'm just sharing what I've seen, because you asked what goes on behind the scenes. You know, in my case, I've always charged the same for everyone, you know, regardless of, you know, skill or how much money they have. And then here's a personal story for you guys in my experience. Not only have I always charged the same for my students and publish the rates, give it to them in writing. Hey, show your friends. I could give a rat's hair because they're all getting the same sheet of paper. But initially when I turned pro, I put this straight up on my website, you know, a link on my homepage. Here's my pro-am, here's my fees. And I gotta tell you guys, I got a number of nastygram emails from other pros. I was kind of shocked. And I mean, they would say things like, this is very unprofessional. You're undercutting the industry. You're making, you know, every other pro look bad because no one else publishes their fees. Blah, 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 blah. I was shocked, you know, and just because, you know, I don't want to be the pariah of, you know, my peers, I took the page down, but it just felt all sorts of shady, like, well, you're the one that's doing something wrong, in my opinion. I mean, I'm just running my business. And in terms of how I established my rates, I never charged based on what the going rate was. I charged on what my time is valued and how many entries do I want, you know. And I imagine that's what a lot of pros do. I can't speak for them, but I think that's usually what we do. And it's not really based on what others charge. The only time I charged based on what others charged was when I very, very, very first turned pro, and this will surprise you. I deliberately charged more than everyone else in town because I knew, because I was more skilled than they were, that I was going to take a lot of their students. And then they would talk smack about me saying I stole their students because I undercut their prices. And I was like, you know what? I am going to take your students, but I'm not stealing them. It's because I'm a trained pro, and I'm a better dancer. and it became hopefully obvious to them. They were still mad about it, but at least they couldn't say that it was because I stole them and undercut their prices, especially when I have my rates published right there on my website, which might have been part of the problem. Then they couldn't lie about it and say I undercut their prices. So anyway, these crazy things do happen. I wish you the best of luck. Definitely, even if your pro won't go with you to a non-studio comp, for Pete's sake, do yourself a favor, my friend, go to that comp, look at the dancers on the floor. If there's teachers there that you're like, dang, their students are really good, you know what? pop in an email. Say, hey, I'm interested in taking with you. What do you charge? What do you charge for Pro-Am? I assume they're going to tell you. Maybe they might call you and not want it in writing. I don't know, but I can't imagine they're not going to be willing to give you a price, because no one in their right mind is going to switch to a Pro unless they have very deep pockets, you know, without knowing what they charge. So that's my 2 cents. And hey, if you're a professional and you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love that. Totally understandable if you don't want to share, because you probably don't want to be thrown under a bus like I was, in which case you are more than welcome to shoot me a private message and I'll just share what you've seen in your area in another video. I would never, you know, betray your confidentiality, reveal your name. If you comment in the comments, then I'll share your name. If you Facebook me, okay. So guys, thanks so much for joining me. I apologize I've rambled on so long. I hope that answered this question. Sure hope you're not being ripped off. And I wish you luck. Happy dancing, guys. See you in the morning.